Xylocopa virginica, on the 2nd of June, 1992. She's starting a new nest. There's the rest of the shed. And she isn't happy with her choice of where the nest start is. So she will soon abandon it and begin another search nearby. She's about to take off now. When she's flying, notice her shadow on the ceiling. Her shadow will have an umbra and a penumbra. That is a fuzzy shadow and a dark shadow, just like the moon on the Earth. In the areas of penumbra, you would get a partial eclipse, and in umbra, you get a total eclipse. When she gets a good sight, like right there, she scent marks. See that? She rubs her abdomen against it. That's where she wants to start her new nest. She will smell it, scent mark it again. She's actually going to find an even better one. After making the scent mark, she will then make an olfactory orientation flight, where she memorizes odors near the nest while flying. Whoops, but she fell to the ground. So she'll go up and she'll try it again. After the olfactory orientation flight, we will get a visual orientation flight in which she memorizes visual landmarks. Of course, simply trying to find the general area. There she goes. Notice the shadow on the ceiling. She grabs with the claws on her front legs, and she will find the spot again, scent mark it again, and then do the olfactory and then the visual one. There's a scent mark. She tests the area by biting with her mandibles. Well, we got some flying there, but we lost track of where she is. But she's back there again, still trying to choose the perfect spot. There's the olfactory orientation flight. She scent marks again, then she'll do the visual orientation flight outside the window. Except she's a little bit clumsy, which is not unusual for these bees. The rope you see out the window there is a guy line helping to keep the shed exactly in the right position, at the right angle of tilt. It should be slightly tilted off vertical. We seem to have lost track of her, but we'll catch her in a moment. Okay, this is the red nest. This is a nest with ruby red plastic filters made of plexiglass 2423. Now we're looking at the ceiling again. The observation nests are those bars across the window. One has a yellow filter and one has a red filter. The bees are blind to the red light, so they see the red nest is opaque. The yellow light doesn't bother them. It's reminiscent of a nest very close to the surface of the wood, and some light gets through. There we go. We should have an orientation flight in progress now, but we seem to have lost the bee. She's probably making the visual orientation flight, so she's probably outside the shed. We'll catch up with her in a moment when she makes part of the orientation flight near the window and inside the shed. At this time, she's memorizing all the visual cues near the nest and what their relationship is with each other. That's a recording of the time of day while all of this is going on. There she is making her visual orientation flight. Or finishing the visual orientation flight. Now she lands on the spot, scent marks it one more time, there she goes, and then commences drilling with her mouth into the wood. She goes about a half an inch a day against the grain until she's in for about an inch. Then she goes an inch a day with the grain as she makes the long tunnels in the wood. This founding nest was unsuccessful, and she eventually returned to her maternal nest, which was the red nest, the red observation nest, and became a helper in that nest instead of a reproducer on her own nest. These bees are traditionally thought of as solitary, but they're in fact primitively social. With one reproducer, there's the groundbreaking right there, with one reproducer and then 1 to 7 helpers. So the number of helpers usually numbers 1 or 2. The helpers do not feed themselves, however, or anyone else. They stay in the nest and get fed by the mother, sort of like Captain Kirk. You have the leader as the one who goes out. The helpers stay home and defend the nest against insects, mites, mites, those are spider-like animals, in this case ones that are parasitic on the bees. And they also thermoregulate the nest. There she goes, she's going to go on another little flight. We will see the thermoregulation behavior later. It's one of the most fascinating aspects of these bees. Defense against larger enemies is almost non-existent, so these bees are not a threat to humans. Though when very desperate, they will squirt excrement, sort of like the Enterprise shooting its phaser beam, but it's pretty ineffectual against a creature as large as ourselves. Very effective against yellow jackets. Now she's pretty much going back to her nest there and chiseling away at that point. She's able to make a very round hole, there she's scent marking again, by rotating around and around, much like a drill does, except much more slowly. She primarily bites at the nest, but she does it from many angles, rotating around. She's still in the initial stages, so she's still testing the possibility of starting somewhere else, but she will go back to that place where she started. That is where she eventually drilled her way in, even though she did eventually abandon that nest. The cause of abandonment was insufficient incubation by sunlight. The nest wasn't warm enough. Their thermoregulation behavior is very energy intensive, so it's only done for short periods. In a pinch, they can't depend on it fully. Oops. As you can hear, she just dropped down again. You can hear her flying there on another orientation flight. Notice when she's looking for a nest site, the wings are sort of out sideways like a letter V, but once she's drilling in earnest, they're folded over each other and go pretty much straight down her back. It is at this critical stage when they're starting new nests, when they can be captured for introduction into artificial life.
This shed looks like from the outside, just so we know what we're doing. Like the bees herself, for the first time, we make an orientation flight. Just from the outside. The angle is
Those white bars are the observation nests. This is the same window from the outside. Here is a male looking for females. Notice when he changes direction, he tilts his body slightly to produce lateral retrofire, much as a lunar lander would do. He just chased somebody. When he's moving sideways, he just lets inertia take him as he coasts. There's the female starting a new nest as seen from outside. When he changes direction, he tilts his body sideways to produce an impulse of retrofire. He uses the same action-reaction mechanism as a rocket ship or a helicopter would do, generating tremendous gusts of wind as he hovers or changes direction. So he must refuel himself frequently.